martial arts school, it's almost Zen-like in the sense that we want to approach physical training, spiritual training, mental training. We want to somehow find equal balance between all those. Now, you'll never find equal balance because all of us are different. We'll draw to different things, and in our life journey, you know, in the prime of your life, you're more physical. As you get older, you become more philosophical. You become more spiritual. You know, so the change is it's constantly changing. You know what I mean? So it's okay. So Evander was just talking about. Go ahead, describe it. If you get older, your hormone change and stuff. Go ahead.
I was talking with Zach. I said my perspective would probably change as I get older, 20 years, because my sex drive, which is basically a guiding force in my life right now, will diminish, and other things in my life will become more prominent.
That's right. So what happens if you are a young man, like a young person, obviously biologically or by nature, we're wired to basically photocopy or reproduce. We want to provide some kind of legacy. Now you can leave legacy behind by having people naming buildings after you or donating a lot of money, right? But you don't usually get to that point until you're a lot older in your life because it takes time to acquire wealth or social status. So another way to leave legacy is basically sowing your oats all over the place, right? But you got to be responsible for that. So what happened is biologically we were wired to basically reproduce, leave our genetic to as many opposite sex as we can, because back in the days we didn't live 60, 70 years old. Like 100 years ago we lived to like 35. If you're lucky, 200 years ago.
Lucky,
yeah, you know what I mean. So now obviously society has changed a lot because we're not in many wars. We have better nutrition, better health, etc. So I was telling Evander and Zach that your philosophy or your mentality changes due to becoming more of an expert in the subject matter. So the more you become expert in your subject matter, the more you might change about your thought process, your thinking. In the beginning, you might think this is the right way. As you become more knowledgeable, you realize, wait a minute, what I thought initially was the right way is not the right way. You know what I mean? The other thing is you might find like-minded people who will reinforce your thinking, your philosophy, and then you get even deeper in that. Or you might find people who you're like, man, they don't think like me, I reject their thinking, and you might start your own group, right? And I was just warning these guys that if you start your own group, or if you join a group that's very radical, be careful of the radicalism, because the radicalism may be too extreme, and you see it consistently in history, right? And it's so important to have people who are wiser than you, or people who will stand up to you and say, the direction we're going is wrong, or the path we're going is wrong. You know what I mean? For example, you have Hitler, you have Karl Marx, you have all these guys who are very radical in their thinking, right? And then what they did is they built a group of people who fed into the radicalism. And then after a while, they built an organization that maintained that radicalism. And then when you have an organization that just cares about maintaining the status quo, that's when you have a problem, all right? If you look at a species in general, species that are very violent, they tend to have a very short lifespan because Mother Nature could not allow them to live on that earth for a long time, right? And therefore, they're constantly evaluating themselves, constantly changing the lifespan. And what happens if the organization gets too powerful, too radical? Sooner or later, another force will destroy it. So it's better to keep an organization small. It's better to keep organization lively. It's better to keep organization small when it gets too big. And all you care about is maintaining the status quo. It's better to break that organization up and create another organization. Break it up, create another organization. And right now, you're seeing that. You're seeing conglomerates, huge conglomerates of companies all around the world now, right? And all they care about is that no one's really in charge of the company anymore. It's become its own entity, right? And these organizations are huge. They're like 50, 60, 100 years old now. And the general masses in our society have no control, no say in how an organization run. This week, for example, the whole 2 airlines were diverted because people were trying to lean the seat back and one of the guys used, I think it's called a knee defender, to prevent the seat from reclining. And a lady got so pissed off, there was a fight that happened, and the lady took, I think, her water and dumped on the guy's head, and the plane had to get diverted. So a clever inventor invented it's called a knee defender. And basically, I think you placed it between the tray and the reclining seat, so the person in front of you can't recline any farther, right? And the lady was pissed because she couldn't recline any farther. So now there's a huge debate on saying, when you travel, should you recline or should you not recline? Now that's a really stupid question because the seat was made to recline. But what happened is the airline is packing so many people into the airplane now that when you recline, the seat in front of you, if they recline, they bump into your knee. Or when you're trying to read it, when you're trying to work on your laptop, the tray will hit your chest, right? So there's a problem there. Now, instead of solving that problem, the airline, the individual, the lowest denominator, the passenger are fighting among themselves. That's not right. The organization or the entity have failed to make sure that the people they're trying to serve is happy and safe and productive. So I wanted to say something. ISIS, huge organization, it's a guerrilla group. It's being radical. It's just kicking butt with very small amount of resources. They're using the resources very carefully. A way to know if an organization is good is if it meets certain spiritual value, or if it provides enlightenment, or it provides health, or it provides life. Now, ISIS does not fall into that group because it's killing people. It's radical in the sense that it's about destruction. All right. So another way to know if you're creating a good organization, or if you're part of a good organization, is if the organization is providing well-being to their workers, to their customers, to their employees. You know what I mean? So either you join one that creates that and you push it farther, or you create your own. Or you're part of it, but you reject certain idealism from that company or that organization. And unfortunately, I think we're getting to the point now where we have swung the other way now, where Walmart, Kmart, all these huge companies, all they care about is the well-being of the company. And the individual workers, they don't give a shit about. Today, in a Democratic Chronicle, a girl was sentenced for 1-year probation because she had to work overtime at TGIF, and her brother dropped off a 4-year-old son, and she couldn't leave work early because the manager wanted her to stay an extra hour. So she left her 4-year-old son in the parking lot, in the car, while she worked that 1 extra hour, right? And yesterday, in Huffington Post, a girl died because she had to work 4 part-time jobs. And she did 3 of them at Dunkin' Donuts. And she was so tired that she would take 2 hours nap at a time between jobs. And to buy herself time, she left a gasoline container in her back seat of her car. And so she fell asleep in a parking lot with the gasoline container in the car. So she died because of, carbon dioxide poisoning. These things should not happen. Working 4 part-time jobs just to survive and provide for your family. It's becoming a common theme now for single mother to work 2-3 part-time jobs, and they're just dragging the kids around because, there's no babysitter at midnight. There's no babysitter at 10 at night, 8 at night. So they're taking the kids along, and it's not right. You know what I mean? And companies are using scheduling softwares now, so there's no human sympathy involved. There's no human emotion involved. Okay, you're just another number, and the scheduling software try to figure out the way to maximize your time so that the company can make as much profit as they can from you. And what happened is you're just a clog in the wheel. We're basically cheap robotics. We're cheap robots. Certain things robot cannot do because we're much more sophisticated than a robot. So they have minimized our wage, minimized who we are as human beings, and everything's becoming just another clog in the wheel. And I believe that we need to make change, right? So going back to Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, going back to Judo, I believe more people in society need to do these type of art. Because when you do these type of art, it enlightens you. It shows you there are better ways. When you're confronted by obstacles, there are better ways to find solutions. All right? The solution may not be head-on, but there's alternative. So we're going to address that right now.